Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, welcome, glad you're here, hope you stay. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my initial thoughts and my not so quite first impressions of the products I picked up from the newly launched brand Auric by beauty influencer Samantha Ravndahl. I will link her videos down below so that you can watch those if you haven't already. And I'm really just gonna jump right into it. I do have the about section of the brand pulled up on my phone. Their branding all seems to be around golden together, which is something that they have plastered everywhere. There's an old saying, gold is where you find it, which means that value is determined by each person individually. To us, gold is found when we lift each other up and work together. We believe in accepting, encouraging, and promoting all different versions of beauty. This is how we grow and thrive artistically and creatively. The official definition of Auric is derived from gold, but based on our beliefs, Auric really means golden together. I think that their mission statement or the motto, their branding is really well represented across the products and the packaging. Oh, before going any further, I will leave timestamps down below in the description box so that if you want to jump ahead to any particular product or any particular part of the video, you can go ahead and do that without sitting through whatever rambling I may include in the video. So make sure you check the description box. When Auric launched, they launched with a radiant luminizer called Glow Lust and retails for $45, and you get 1.18 fluid ounces, which is more than a standard foundation. This is not a foundation, but just for comparison's sake, you get a little bit more than you would in a standard foundation bottle. The Glow Lust comes in 7 shades, ranging from light cool beige to deep neutral cool. I picked up the shade Morganite, which is the lightest shade in this range. This shade that I'm talking about, that I'm going to be referencing throughout the video, is sold out. And the other shade that's sold out at the time that I'm filming is Goldstone, which is a medium deep warm shade. They also launched with 3 eyeshadow duos called Smoke Reflex. These Smoke Reflex shades retail for $39. You have a cream on the bottom and you have a powder on the top part of the compact. They come in 3 shades: Ego, which is a silver, Defiance, which is a bronze, and Temper, which is a rose gold. At the time that I'm filming this, the only shade available for purchase is Ego, which is the silver shade. I do want to talk about the packaging very briefly. This is the very small box that was shipped to me, and then there was the packing slip in here, as well as 1 piece of tissue paper, and then all 4 of the products that I ordered. I know that I had seen some complaints online about the size of the PR box, so I do want to point out that not every purchase comes with a giant box. Moving on to product packaging, I'm going to start with the Glow Lust. So the Glow Lust does come in this very nice, very luxurious, pretty soft rubber outer box. It says, highlight, smooth, hydrate, innovative polymers, brighten and hydrate dull skin for a healthy, natural glow. Wear alone, mix with complexion products, or finish your look for a long-lasting radiance. I think that this is really nice packaging. I like it so much that I almost feel like I want to keep the Glow Lust in the box. The only other product that I feel that way about is the Pat McGrath foundation, which I do keep in the flip top black box, but that's not the point of this video. I do think that this is really nice packaging. I do have some thoughts about it though that I will reserve for a little later in the video. All 3 Smoke Reflex do come in the same soft rubber black packaging with the same design on the front that the Glow Lust has. The only differences among the packaging for the Smoke Reflex are the different names that are listed on the top of the box, as well as whatever ingredient differences there are. All 3 just say twist off upper tier to reveal an ultra pigmented metallic cream shadow, open lid to find a light enhancing shimmer powder, and mirror. If you're someone that's bothered by plastic glitter being included in products, the Temper shade does have that plastic glitter. As for the product packaging itself, here is what the Glow Lust looks like. It comes in this very nice, heavy, luxurious feeling frosted glass bottle, and then you have the gold down the front, as well as the gold embossed cap with the drips running down either side. It fits very nicely. It's very easily held in the palm of your hand. It's weighted. It just feels like a really luxury product. I do want to talk a little bit about the cap situation. I know that I had seen some comments online about the accessibility issue for people with mobility issues with their hands or with grip, things of that sort. So I do want to show you the cap. When Sam first put out her video, she talked about how hard it is to get the cap off, and I know that that really deterred some people from picking this up because they were worried about being able to open it, the cap being too hard to get off. So I do want to show you that it's a little bit of an exaggeration. I know that I saw people in their YouTube videos when they were doing their unboxings and their first impressions that they also were really amping up how hard it was to get the cap off. It's really not. I do feel like a lot of them did that more for show than how hard it actually is to get off. I think that it's a little bit harder to get off than a standard cap, but I don't think it's too hard for most people to be able to get off. I don't want to say all people because I don't know what severity of mobility issues you may have if you're someone who's concerned with this, but you don't need to give it one big pull. You can give it a gentle tug. It takes a little bit longer to get off if you're doing it that way, or you can do that like twist and pull and it comes off really easily. There are ways to maneuver the cap to come off that are easier than just one big yank. I do think that if you were someone who may have thought about not picking this up because of the cap, you will be pleasantly surprised to find that it's not as difficult to get off as you may have been led to believe that it is. It does have a pump on the top. There's a big story behind the pump. It's made in France. It's been tested for so long, blah, blah, blah. I think that the product packaging itself is really pretty. This is something that I do feel really happy to have. I think it matches a lot of my other more luxe products that I keep out on display. It just fits in with that luxe aesthetic. These Smoke Reflect Eye Duos all come in the same frosted glass packaging with black plastic tops, and they all open the same exact ways, and all of their colorings are the same. You twist off the top, you've got your cream, you flip up, and you've got your powder. And that's how all three of them work. On the bottom, you have the shade name and any relevant information like how long it lasts once you open it up, or how much product is contained in the glass bottom, as well as the amount contained in the upper portion of the plastic part. You can see here that all three also came with the film that you have to pull off. The film doesn't have a tab to easily pull it off, so you do have to work in there if you're someone who wants to remove the film. Otherwise, it doesn't really hinder the ability to use the product. The little jars are meant to be airtight with the screw on, and then there's just like a little lip, a little catch here that keeps the powder closed. They are indistinguishable aside from the name on the bottom, so they do all come with the embossed Auric on the top, and then there's the printing on the jar. Now that we've talked about packaging, let's talk about formula and texture. Moving back to the Glow Lust, for no real reason other than good luck, I shake all of my products. That doesn't feel like something that needs to be shaken, at least not yet. There's not enough space probably in the bottle to require shaking because there probably hasn't been separation yet, but I'm just someone that always shakes products. So I am shaking it up just for fun, and I'm gonna squirt a little bit on the back of my hand. So this is the light cool beige color. It's kind of salmon-y. It's more salmon toned, more peachy toned than I was kind of expecting it to be. I didn't fully blend it in. A little can go a long way depending on the intensity that you're looking for. I think that's nice that it's a little bit more customizable. You can build it up to be really intense, or you can shear it out a little bit more depending on what you're going for. Once it's fully blended out, I don't think that you can tell that there is a salmon or a peach undertone. I think that it really does just have a luminosity. The formula is on the thicker side, so I will take this time right now to compare it to the Flawless filter, just because that is what's on everyone's mind, is how similar is this to the Flawless filter. Real quick, if you're not familiar with the Hollywood Flawless filter for a Superstar Youth Glow, It is a product by Charlotte Tilbury that is also meant to be a glow enhancing product, a radiant luminizer or a multi-use luminizer of sorts. I use the shade One Fair, and I have had this for almost 2 years and I'm still going strong. I guess right off the bat, there's the difference in packaging. I have noticed that the letters have rubbed off of my Flawless filter as the years have gone by. I believe there's only 1 ounce of product in here. Yes, okay, so this one only has 1 ounce of product, and they retail for just about the same price. I think it's $44 for the Charlotte Tilbury, and it's $45, and you get a little bit more. The Glow Lust has the pump, and the Charlotte Tilbury has the doe foot. Some people are super anti-doe foot. I don't really care. But I'm not a working makeup artist. I just use these products on me. Focusing just on the Flawless filter for one moment though. This has a variety of shades. I know they just expanded their shade range. This is the shade 1, and I'm just gonna quickly... There's a little bit of a color, very light peach-ish tone. I think that swatching the two products next to each other is very deceiving. I think that on the hand swatched next to each other, they look very, very similar. Now, they are the same type of product, so there are going to be similarities between the two. Oh, what was the analogy? You'll find that most cakes are all made with flour, sugar, eggs, and butter. And it's kind of the same thing when you think of all of these products within categories. So while the Auric Glow Lust may be similar to the Hollywood Flawless filter or any other liquid highlighters, I don't think it's fair to say that the Glow Lust is a copycat of the Flawless filter. I'm rambling. I just feel like the Glow Lust is being compared too heavily to the Flawless filter, and it's not being given a chance to stand on its own. Here is what the two look like swatched next to each other. And this is why I think it's deceptive, because even though I know that there's two products swatched separately on my hand, even looking in the viewfinder, I think that it looks like there's only one. I don't think that there's a real differentiation between the two shades on the back of my hand. The difference between the two products comes when you wear them on your face. And I will have a separate video coming up where I showcase the differences, but for the purposes of this video and time allotment and things like that, because I do want to keep the video rolling, I just want to say that swatched, they're identical. They really are, and anyone saying that they're not, I think, is not being the most truthful. But when you wear them on your face, there is a distinct difference between how the two products wear. Changing gears and moving on to the texture of the Glow Lust. I am wearing the Glow Lust today underneath my foundation, where it's on like the outside of my face, and then I put the foundation on my other layers of makeup on, and then I finished off with a little bit more on just the top of my cheekbones, and I think that it looks really nice. I did notice that I don't like applying this with my fingers. I noticed that it didn't play well with my primer, and so when I was doing my first impression, which is the footage that you'll see or you are currently seeing, I had put my skincare on earlier in the day, and then at the point where I'm filming the video, it was 4 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock at night. I used the Natasha Denona Face Glow Primer, which is a really nice hydrating base. Then I let that sit for a few minutes to give it a chance to sink into the skin, and then I applied the Glow Lust as a foundation. I was going to see if I could get any kind of coverage. I'd seen Samantha March do it this way, and I thought that she looked really nice in the video where she had applied it as like a foundation. Even though this is not meant to be a foundation, I wanted to see how the formula felt. I wanted to see the texture. I wanted to just kind of see if it enhanced any texture for science reasons, obviously. So I had taken it onto my hands, and I had put it onto my face, and it pilled. I wouldn't think of this formula, of the Glow Lust formula, as being something that pills. And I know that the Natasha Denona one doesn't pill. I put it on. It felt really gritty. It felt heavy. It was not a lightweight, enjoyable, fluffy, airy texture that I was expecting. I guess I was looking for a more moussey type of texture, or I thought it would have a moussier, airy type of texture, and it didn't. It was very gritty, and I feel like it didn't go as far when I used my fingers to apply it. Since the first time that I've worn it, I've only used a brush and a sponge to apply it because I really didn't enjoy how it worked with my fingers. I feel like my hands, when I was rubbing it between my hands maybe and trying to warm it up, maybe my hands soaked it up. Either way, I don't feel like my fingers did a good job with the application, and I think that it looks a lot better when I've used a brush. But the texture is not one that I enjoy having between my fingertips. Moving on to the formula and texture of the Smoke Reflex. I was really surprised actually when I opened up the little jar of the eyeshadow cream. I thought, this is very airy and really fun to touch, but it's a really nice moussey texture. This is a very enjoyable texture to touch and to manipulate with your fingers. When I've used these on my eyes, I prefer using my finger to apply. I feel like they look a lot better. I feel like the payoff of the pigment is a lot better using my finger. I did use a brush today when I was applying the shade that I used. I feel like a brush just doesn't give you what you can get. It's just not enough. I really like the formula of the cream bottom. In the sense of the formula, I think that they're really unique and they do give something special, or they can give something special to your collection if you're not someone that has a lot of cream eyeshadows. The powder, on the other hand, I don't feel is super unique because I feel like there's other shimmer shades or foil shades or metallic shades that offer the same kind of payoff that you can get from these. I found the shimmer formula to be difficult to work with. I feel like there might be a learning curve for this particular aspect of the eyeshadow duo. That is just something that I think you should consider if you have a lot of glitter toppers, if you have a lot of foils or metallics that you really enjoy, if you like the scattered lights from Hourglass, if you have a big collection of toppers. I feel like this would be really redundant. Texture-wise, they're not gritty. I feel like they're pretty smooth to have on your eyes. They're not heavy. They don't flake off into your eyes. There is fallout when you apply. There is fallout throughout the day, but I haven't noticed anything that makes my eyes feel uncomfortable. I haven't noticed any heavy, gritty textures when I've swatched them. I spent a lot of time swatching these amongst each other. As for texture, they're nice. I feel like they are on par with other comfortable eyeshadow toppers. With all of that out of the way, let's get into my final initial thoughts. Let's get into my experience. I want to preface this by saying I am a fan of Sam's. I have been following her on YouTube for a while and on Instagram, and I am a big fan of her content. I really like a lot of the products that she uses. I have the same ones by chance, sometimes because she's influenced me to buy them. I was really excited when she announced she was coming out with a brand. I was really excited for the products, and I was really looking forward to this launch. I was loading the page over and over again at 11 o'clock. I checked out at 11:02. I was waiting very impatiently for my shipping notification, and then I was waiting for the UPS delivery guy on Tuesday when it was delivered. So I could not wait to get these products in my hands. I had I don't want to say very high expectations, but I was very much looking forward to these products because I felt like I've really liked a lot of the things in the past. We have very similar taste when it comes to wet, glossy makeup. So I did have an idea in my mind of what these products were going to be like and what my enjoyment level of these products were going to be. So it's almost painful for me to acknowledge out loud that I am quite underwhelmed with the products and their performances so far. The problem with first impressions for me is that sometimes a first impression can be really great, and then when you continue to wear it, it's not so great. The same is true for when you try something out and you don't like it. Sometimes when you continue to play around, you can really like it. So first impressions for me aren't great. They're not the most helpful for me personally. They're not something that I enjoy putting out as content for you because they can be deceiving. My initial first impression of the Glow Lust Luminizer was not positive. The first time I used it, when it was gritty and difficult to apply with my fingers, I really didn't like it. And I was really disappointed in that because it's kind of expensive and it just felt not great for me. You know, it was just underwhelming. And if you had asked for my opinion the very first time I used the Glow Lust, it would have been pretty negative. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that because of how I feel about Sam and the products that she recommends. I also wasn't expecting to feel the way I did because I'd seen so many of the reviews of the people who had received this in PR and how it was so great and they loved it and it was this super great and unique and special, wonderful product, and my experience was not that. As I've now used it a few more times, which is why this is not quite a first impressions, because I've had the opportunity to now use this for about 4 days, and I have used this every day since I've received it. I just feel like it's taken some time to grow on me, but I'm still not excited about it. It's not a product that's giving me a lot of enjoyment. I like how it looks when I apply it. I like how it looks when I wear it with foundation. I like how it looks when it's sitting on my vanity. I'm just feeling underwhelmed. I don't know what other way to describe it as. I guess I thought that it would be stellar. I thought it would be something that blew me out of the water, that outshined the Flawless filter. And not that this doesn't compare to the Flawless filter because you use it in the same way and it looks very similar. I just don't feel like it's not worth having both of them at the same time. I don't feel like it performs that differently from the Flawless filter in that having both of these makes sense. So if you're someone who was thinking about getting Glow Lust but has Flawless filter, I would not say that you need to have both at the same time, and that if you were planning on finishing up Flawless filter and then maybe purchasing this one, then, you know, that's a choice that you make when the decision comes. But for a casual makeup user, owning both doesn't make sense. I'm going to continue playing around with the Glow Lust, but I don't feel like my experience has been similar to the other videos that I've seen on this, and I think that that's kind of interesting. It's something that is making me wonder now about some of their authenticities. I always wonder when people have such different experiences with products, and it's just giving me pause. Maybe I'm just putting my foot in my mouth right now. I'm just underwhelmed. And I'll move on to talking about the Smoke Reflex. I'm going to start with the one I like the least, and then I'm going to end on the one that I like the most. I'm going to start off by talking about Temper.
This is the glitter powder built up on bare skin with no primer underneath and just using my finger. This is the Temper Cream, just using my finger on bare skin. This is the glitter powder on top of the Painterly paint pot. This is the cream and powder mixed together on bare skin with no primer. This is the glitter powder with no primer using a dry brush. And this is the glitter powder using a wet brush and no primer. And this is shot in natural light.
This was the shade that I was the most excited for. I felt like it was the one that I saw myself wearing the most. It screamed uniqueness to me. It seemed like it would be something I really covet in my collection, that I would just always be using. The color struck me as something that would be really special. And I do really like the cream base. I think that it's really pretty, and I do see it working really well as a one and done type of shadow. I think that it's something that I could get a lot of use out of. It's something that, it's still a shade, it's still a color that I'm really drawn to, and I do like the formula, and since I own it, I imagine I'll get quite a bit of use out of it, I hope. What I really don't like is the powder. Words almost can't describe the disappointment that I feel about the powder. And rewind. When I first received this product, it was open. You know, it wasn't closed all the way, and I have the clip of when I first opened it, and it came and it wasn't airtight, and then it looked like it was separating from the edges. So I was already not having a great experience with this particular eyeshadow. The cream, though, felt really nice, and it swatched really pretty, and it wore on the eye really pretty when I was putting it on my eyes. But from the get-go, the powder was just meh. It was really underwhelming. I know I seem to love that word, but it just didn't perform in the way I was expecting it to perform. And I have spent a lot of time swatching, a lot of time playing around, a lot of time mixing colors, but it's already got a hard pan film on the top of it. I've already had to scrape off a layer of product, which only a few days into owning, I don't really think is acceptable. I feel like for the price that you pay, for the luxury branding that this is supposed to have along with it, I have my scattered light shadows that I've had for over a year, and there's no hard pan, there's no drying out, and they still perform. I have other foiled shades that are, you know, similar, that don't have hard pan after years of being in my collection. I have something that I shouldn't even be talking about because it's like 4 years old at this point, but I still have it and I still use it, and that has not had any kind of film or change in texture or formula, and it's well past expired, really, I'm sure. While I see myself finishing off the cream portion of the eye duo, I don't see myself repurchasing because of how difficult to use the shimmer portion is. But additionally, I just don't recommend this. I feel like if you're going to spend this kind of money on an eyeshadow duo, you should be able to use both shades. The cream is really great and the powder is really not great, and the powder soured me enough that I wholeheartedly recommend I wholeheartedly recommend passing on this shade. Moving on to my second least favorite shadow, and that is Defiance.
This is just the cream applied with my finger. This is the cream and powder applied with my finger. This is just the powder applied with my finger on bare skin. This is the powder applied on top of the Painterly paint pot. This is the powder applied with a dry brush, and this is the powder applied with a wet brush.
I thought this would be my second favorite shade. I thought that, you know, it was so pretty, and I loved the swatches, and I thought that there was something really special about the tone, and I thought there was something really special about the product, but it turns out that I have the opposite problem with this shade than I did with Temper, where I really love the shimmer part, and I really hate the cream. I think the cream is really boring. I think the shade is boring. I think the shade is difficult to work with. I think that it is just not unique enough to have been in an initial launch. It's just not something special. I don't think it's stand out. But the shimmer formula I do think is really pretty. I think it pairs really well with the Temper eye duo, which is great because I can see myself then getting use out of at least this shimmer and the other cream that I enjoy more than this cream. I think that there are some uses to this. I have some ideas in my head for eyeshadow looks. This one is better than Temper if you're really sold on picking this up. If you think it's a shade you're going to get use out of, you know, I don't think you'll be disappointed, heavily disappointed. Like I said, it's a little bit hard to work with. It's a little bit messier than either of the other two shades. It's a little bit harder to control. It's just, I think there's a learning curve with this particular shade, with this particular cream, but I do think that the powder on top is really nice. But that said, I do notice that there is a film still forming on the top of this shade, and I'm really disappointed in that. The fact that two of the shades are getting a hard pan film on top of them. I think that this early in the game of having them, that they should be able to hold up a little bit better than that. Moving on to the last shade, which is my favorite shade, and that is Ego.
Cream by itself, cream and powder mixed together, powder by itself, no primer, powder on top of the Painterly paint pot. This is the powder with a dry brush, and this is the powder with a wet brush.
And I want to tell you, this really surprised me. I almost didn't pick up this shade because I didn't think that I would use it. I thought of the 3 shades, this is the one I would get the least amount of use of, that it was just too unwearable. I'm pretty neutral and beige and basic, if you will. It just didn't seem like a color that would really appeal to me, but it's really unique. It really does stand out. It's inspiring. I really love the eye look that I created with this today. It just is calling to me, and it's given me a lot of creative ideas and sparked some creativity I didn't even remember that I had. It's been so many years since I've played with color and fun things outside of browns and maybe some purples. I can't believe the enjoyment that I get from this eyeshadow. Of everything that launched, I think that the Ego shade is the most unique, the most standout product that you could pick up. Just for fun, I decided to swatch the creams together. On top is Ego by itself, Ego mixed with Defiance, Ego mixed with Temper, and then this is Defiance on its own, Defiance mixed with Temper, and then Defiance mixed again with Ego, but this time Ego is layered on top of Defiance. We have Temper by itself, Temper mixed with Defiance, and Temper mixed with Ego. These are the creams topped with the different glitter shades. Starting at the top, this is the Temper Duo, Temper topped with Defiance, Temper topped with Ego. This is Defiance Duo, Defiance topped with Temper, Defiance topped with Ego. This is the Ego Duo, and then Ego topped with Temper and Ego topped with Defiance. Going back to the Glow Lust, I just remembered that there's something that I didn't say about it, and that is when I put it on my cheeks as the foundation, even though it's not a foundation, but I wore it like that anyways, I noticed that it did a really good job at neutralizing the redness that I had surrounding my recent breakouts, my scarring, just the redness that I have on my face because I'm one of those lucky ones. But it did a really, really good job at calming that down, and that is a really positive call out that I do want to bring attention to. I have a few more critiques. I do think that there are some things that could be improved on, and the first is the outer packaging. What I wish had been different, or what I hope maybe they'll consider changing in the future, is just it's all the same. And that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having the same branding, but what I would have liked is having small, minor changes. Like if the Smoke Reflex had different shades. Instead of having all of the blue tones, just have different shades that reflect what tone maybe is inside the box. So have Temper have a rose reflect, and have Defiance have a bronze reflect, and have Ego have a more silver reflect. Just something that causes the packaging to stand out a little bit, because if you are someone who holds on to packaging, that wants to look at packaging, well, they're all the same. There's nothing that causes one to stand out different from the others. So there's that. There's that aspect of the packaging. It's petty, but it's a change that I feel like is small enough but would cause me a lot of happiness. I feel like having just a small differential tone in the packaging could make a big difference for people who really like that aesthetic. In a similar vein of everything looks the same, the packaging for the eye duos all look the same. I feel like the frosted glass causes the insides to all look marginally similar. If you're really paying attention, I think obviously you'll be able to tell that there's a difference between the 3 shades. When they're all stored upright, you don't know which one it is that you're grabbing. So What I would like to see in the future is that maybe the Auric lettering, again, is different. It reflects what shade might be underneath, a silver, a gold, a rose gold, some type of just differential thing, even if maybe just the black part was a different color, just some kind of differentiation would be nice moving forward. What I think too would make a difference is having something that differentiates or marks on the bottom what shade this is. If I've got all three open and I want to put the lids back on, I have to open them up. This might seem petty, but I still feel like it's worth mentioning that they're all completely indecipherable without opening them. And that's my point that I'm trying to get to, is that I wish there was a better way of differentiating what shade was which and which shade went where. So, on that note, I think that these products, these eyeshadow duos, would do a lot better if they were mix and match. I would love the ability when we're talking about sustainable. Okay, so if we're talking about sustainable makeup or sustainable beauty, customizable makeup, customizable beauty, whatever, adjectives you want to throw in there, I think that Auric would be very benefited by having mix and match. So I personally really like the Temper Cream, but not the powder, and I really like the Defiance powder, but not the cream. If I were going to repurchase and I had the ability to mix and match, I could buy both of those separately and be a happy customer. But because of my disappointment in the two products, I won't repurchase either of them, which means that Sam or the company, Auric, is going to lose out on me being a repeat customer for those two shades. With a mix and match, that does bring me back because I'll be able to rebuy what I actually want without having the other half of the product go to waste. Having the mix and match would then be benefited by having the differential colors or markings on the tops and the bottoms of the eyeshadow duos. Okay, I'm rambling on a lot, but I wanted to just get that out there about what I think could be improved upon on the eyeshadow duos. I think that these products are worth holding off on. I don't think that any of them are things that you need to order right now, this very second. They are all permanent items within her line, so it's not something that you need to worry about missing out or limited edition. But additionally, 2 of the 3 eyeshadows are sold out and 2 of the 7 Glow Lusts are sold out. And because of COVID and manufacturing stuff, I know Sam said in a live that there's not a date until, I think earliest was the end of February before anything could go back into production or something like that. So I don't think that you need to be too upset if you missed out on the initial launch. And I definitely think that these are really worth thinking about because it's a lot of money to drop on a product that maybe is not going to perform the way that you're expecting it to. And definitely watch a range of reviews because, like I pointed out a few times already, my experience with these products does not seem to be in line with the experiences that other people are putting out there. And it's just really interesting to see that so many people are having a different experience than me, and it's making me wonder, am I doing something wrong, or are they putting out positive content because they want to put out positive content? And I'm putting this video out there because I didn't have a positive experience, and I think that other people might want this view as well. I'm just really underwhelmed by the performance of these products, and I am also very curious as to how people are having such different experiences than I am, unless they're just spinning everything to be really positive and they're not putting out there the difficulties that they've had using the products. I don't know. I am very interested though to see some more reviews coming forward of people who bought the launch versus receiving it in PR. Have you picked up any of these products? What has your experience been? Has it been similar to what mine's been, or have you had a really great experience like the other reviews have been so far? I would really love to know how you are feeling about these products as well. If you found this information helpful, then please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will catch you again very soon in my next video. Hi, it's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for visiting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for visiting. Yes, look at the baby. Oh, look at that baby. Oh, that's a big purring boy. Oh, that's a big purring boy. Yes, it is. That's a